Hello. Today we're going to add some CSS to our static HTML website. What CSS allows us to do is make the contents of the web page look better. So we can change the font, we can change the color, we can change the positioning of the actual contents, and so on. So to start with a CSS file, you have to open up a new file. You can call it whatever you want. You can say main.css or index.css or whatever, and you have to link that file within your HTML file. So you have to open up something like this. You have to write this. You say link. So within this link command, or yeah, so you have to say it's a style sheet. So rel equals style sheet because it's a CSS style sheet. And then we have to link to the actual file. So the href equals, and it's in the same directory. That's what dot dash means. And then we call it the name. So it's main.css. So we're going to start off with changing the actual text. We're going to put this all in the middle and in a 500 pixel wide container. To do that, we have to call back to the class content, which contains everything, to this container content. So dot content, this is how you call to something in CSS. You have to do dot and the class name, and you have to do a circle bracket and then go to the next line. So we'll say max width is going to be 500 pixels because that's how wide we want it to be. And we'll say margin is going to be auto. Yeah, so it's in the central now. It's in the center now. Now we're going to work on the bullet point list. We'll say the underlined list. Yeah. So we'll do UL. We don't need to use a full stop for this one because the UL is a command of its own. You only need the full stop if it's a class. So we'll say font dash size is going to be 18 pixels. Yeah, so you can see that this has changed. And we'll say, yeah, that's good. Now we'll mess around with the image. So we'll say image, and we'll say, again, you don't need a dot because image is an actual HTML command of its own. And we'll say max width is going to be 100%. No, just width. Width is going to be 100%, and we'll say the height is auto. Yeah, that's good. So you can see that this image changed size. And then now we can start working on the actual text. So we'll say top title dot top dash title because it's the name of the class, and we'll open up the curly bracket and go to the next line. We'll say font dash family. We'll make it family. We'll make it Times New Roman, and we'll say font dash size is going to be 50 pixels. Yeah, 50 pixels seems good. And we can even offset it a bit. If I want to offset it to the right, I'd say margin dash left 50 pixels. This would allow me to offset it by 50 pixels. I want to offset it to the left, so I'll say negative 50 pixels. So you can see it's moved negative 50 pixels to the left, or negative 50 pixels to the right. Yeah. Now we're going to work on the text. So we'll say dot description below dash title. Now, I recommend naming your classes as detailed as they can be because when you work on larger websites that are pure HTML, it can be a bit confusing. So when you name it this descriptively, it's easier to call back to. It can be a bit irritating to have to type this all out over again, but you can just copy and paste the actual name. So we're going to work on this now. We can call it, we'll just copy this, or no. Because it's the same font family, we just have to change the size. We'll make it 25 pixels. That seems good. So we'll leave it at that, and then we'll go to the next one. What is the next one? The actual container for the about virus. The reason I set up a container was so I could put a margin in between all of the contents of that container and whatever's above it or below it. So I'm going to add a margin to the bottom. We'll say 25 pixels. Now, if you look at it, this is before I added it, all of this text is in that container, and this is, or no, yeah, this. This is all in one container, and this is all in a separate container. I want this to move down. So I can do margin bottom, 25 pixels. I save that. It's moved down by 25 pixels. So that's good. Now I can change the about title. It's dot about dash title, and I open it again. I can copy this. I could say font, and we'll change this to 25 pixels again. No, we can change this one to 20, and we'll leave this at 25. That looks better. And now we can add another margin dash left to negative 25 pixels. Yeah, so you can see it's moved by 25 pixels. And now we'll add the about text. We'll say, about text, we'll say font dash family times New Roman, and then font size will be 18 pixels. This is good. This is the 18 pixels and then the Times New Roman font. No, we're going to change it to Arial instead because it doesn't look too... No, never mind. I changed my mind. Yeah. And now we can work on the next bit. So we can work on the tips title. Tips dash title. And we can just copy the about title. That should work. Yeah. Look at that. And now we can go into the bottom text. So this little bit of text at the bottom. I put it in a container called, and given that container the class bottom text. So I have to open dot bottom dash text, and I say this, and we'll say, we can copy the description below the title. We'll make it a bit smaller. We could say 18, no, we'll leave it at 20. And we can align it, so text align center. We can align it centrally. Yeah, then we're gonna make it a bit smaller, 18. And then we can, now if we wanna, since it's kind of difficult to go all the way down there, we can add a margin to the bottom so we could scroll further, 50 pixels. That worked. Now, if we wanted to add some, or yeah, we're gonna change it. We're gonna make the font a little different. You know, we're gonna add a font style. We're gonna make it not variant font style. We're gonna make it oblique. So you can see that's moved a bit. We can add an underline if we wanted. Where do we add an underline? Tips to, yeah. Okay, we can add an underline to the description. We can say font dash style, or no, we can make it bold if we wanted. So we can say font dash weight. Font dash weight is going to be bold. Yeah, so we've made that bold. Now, if we wanted to add some color to the thing, we can add color individually to this whole container by doing background color, and then I want to change it to green. We could change it to green. Now this whole container is green. If I wanted to change all of the text within that container, I could say color and I can make it blue. Yeah, so look, all of the text within that container is blue. But if I wanted to change the entire page's color, I'd say body, because body is this whole container that contains all of the HTML inside of it. So it goes from here all the way down to here. So body, and then I could say background color, I could say brown. Yeah, so that's all of it. That's pretty much it. Now we're going to revert it because that looks weird. Cool. So this was adding CSS to your simple HTML website.